Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have two Christmas cards to share with you using the Coffee Friends stamp set from Hello Bluebird. I wanted to share these cards with you because you know that I make clean and simple cards all the time. Well, 99% of the time I'm creating clean and simple cards. And I also know that although you love them, that there are several amongst you that find white on cards scary. And I get that. I say it all the time in the past, and you can also see that on my really early videos here. I created tons of scene cards all the time. And although I love them, at a certain point, I don't know where the switch happened. Maybe it was a challenge that I participated on, but somehow at some point I turned to clean and simple. And even though I started creating clean and simple cards, I also found that that white area, it's really daunting, and you're wondering whether you have added enough, if it is not too white, if it's all balanced out. And I completely get that. I think if you come from scene cards or you're creating scene cards and you want to try clean and simple with white space, that might be like a big leap there. And so today's cards have tons of white space, but there is like an in-between, because I'm going to really subtly add a few snowflakes in the background. They are really subtle. It's in a really soft color, but it's just to break a bit that white. And maybe this can be also a way for you to be comfortable starting to incorporate white if you want to. This might be just that in-between phase that you need. Another thing, as I say and do all the time, is creating scenes, but really small. Limit yourself to just only 2 images, as I'm doing today here. You can definitely add more. There is always an option to go from clean and simple to really elaborate card with tons of critters, with tons of colors if you want to. There's always that option. It's just looking at your scene card or at your card with tons of images and see what you can take away from it without not having enough elements, you know. And so you can definitely do that and just have a smaller area on your panel, create a scene on there to have like the scene kind of idea still going on, but in a smaller area, so that it is more clean and simple or more focused in that specific area on your card. That's also an in-between, which is for scene makers, a really handy one to just have that transition towards clean and simple. It's definitely all up to you. I hope that with this video I can show you that there is also an in-between without the scene and already with tons of white, but still an in-between. So yeah, I definitely also think that you can create these cards without doing the stamping in the background, as I will do later on. That's perfectly fine according to me as well. Then with the coloring, as always, you can find the color combinations back on my blog post, but I sort of also try to share here where I'm going to use the same combination. So I used the same combination in the back of the hedgehog as on the owl. I'm just showing you this way. Normally I try to color in one image and then continue to the other one, but I just wanted to show you how a combination can lead towards multiple critters. And since I'm going to create 2 cards, I already divided my 2 critters that I want on one card on the other card. So I have the same combination, but it's for another card. So if you like to differentiate in the combinations that you're using when it comes to your neutrals for the critters, then you definitely can. But in this case, I don't have the same colors for my critters, but I do, well, I did color things similarly at the same time, but just for another card. So here, as you can see, this lighter color, it is going on all those fluffy, small, light areas of the other critters. It's the same color as on the bunny, but there I use it completely all over the bunny, and on the other ones it's just these details. So it can be as simple as that when it comes to combinations that you need for your critters, for your cards. And I really love that. I say it all the time, your Copics, if you buy new Copics, try to sort of see how you can extend the current combinations that you already have, because this way you have tons of combinations all at once. Now for the reds, the greens and the yellows here on the accessories, I'm going to use all of the same combinations. The only thing that I wanted to do again here for my cards was because I only have 2 critters every time. I didn't want to have all of the scarves on the same card to be red. So I made sure to have a red scarf on the owl, but not on the bunny. The fox, the red scarf, so the scarf from the hedgehog needed to be another color. But as you can see, again, I'm using that same combination all over my coloring here for these 2 cards. In the end, when you see both cards, I wanted to have those 3 colors really shown by all of the 3 cards. And it was a bit of a struggle first because I didn't have a yellow for my second card. But I fixed that with my sentiment, which was actually not my intention to use yellow there, but it was the best choice ever in my opinion. So I will say you later why I find that. So here all of the reds are done. I just forgot about the orange on the owl, just quickly fix that. And then from red I went into green, and actually the yellow was an afterthought. I wanted to have a third color, and well, if you have these Christmas colors like red and green, I'm often blocked, and I think I go every time again towards yellow because it's also like the stars on the Christmas tree maybe. It just works for some reason, and I'm glad it does, because red and green, I think I only combine those for Christmas purposes, and it's completely okay with Christmas. It's really all about Christmas. But like the yellow, yeah, it works. I don't know if you have a color that you combine when you're using the traditional Christmas colors like red and green. If you have and it's not yellow, or if it's yellow, leave it in the comments. Maybe you can inspire me next time I need a third color for the reds and the greens. I don't know. But yeah, so I went for a warm yellow. It is going to be really subtle, of course. It's also for accessory purposes. And I'm also going to add a bit of shadowing on the mugs itself, the white part and the foam, and then I will add a bit of coffee on the inside of that mug from the owl as well. It's all in the details. Just in case you were wondering, because I was going to use brown combinations for my critters, I stamped these images out using dark chocolate ink. It's from Gina Designs, and it just softens the whole design a bit. That's also why I didn't use black on my sentiment, because I had no black on the coloring so far, or on my critters, or on the card. So I thought it was a nice idea to just keep that out of it. On some of the accessories, I decided to add a few details. So I just add a few dots on the scarf, a few stripes on the mug. I'm not trying to go overboard. I'm a bit outside of my comfort, adding a white jelly roll pen details. You can also do some lovely highlights, but for me currently it's one or the other, or none. So here just adding some details to the images themselves. And then I could use my dies to cut all of these critters out, and then we could play a bit with layout. Now for the sentiment, I am using the Bold Holidays. There are dies and stamps, and you can definitely use the dies for the same purpose. Then you have these banners, and you can add your critters on top of the banners. That actually was my original idea when I started on these two cards. But then I saw the sentiment, and I wanted to overlap like the secondary sentiments on top of the big word. So I went with Merry Christmas and Peace on Earth as my sentiments, and you can definitely do exactly the same layout. That's the strength of clean and simple. You can recreate this in many ways, just keeping the design but maybe changing those critters, maybe changing the sentiments, and just have fun with that. You know it works, you're at ease, you can make all the cards you need this way. Now originally I just wanted to do it like that. Then I changed it using the stamps instead of the dies, and then I thought, well, maybe I can add some holiday flurries on the back. Now to keep my stitching details white, I just did some really silly purple tape masking in my MISTI, and then I used my lightest ink that I have at home. Gravel is from the stamp market. Any light ink will work. And then I needed to figure out which color my Mary was going to get. And so I took a little piece of rainbow strips thingy that I still had left over, and I figured out that the cranberry ink was the best to match with the red combination that I had. So I stamped it out a few times to really have a crisp impression. And then I could add the secondary greeting as well. That one I'm going to stamp with the dark chocolate ink that I used for my critters as well. I'm just making sure that I have a crisp stamping here. And then I had my panel ready. So as you can see, it's really subtle on the top, but you can still see them, and it breaks with the white. Now, if you don't like this, it's still too much white. What you can do as well, which I also had in my head originally, was to mask off the de-stitching detail, of course, because I use a die like this, and then use your inks and ink blend a subtle gradient, not all the way, just a bit above the sentiment, a bit above the Mary, like let it fade out into the white just before you touch your sentiment, and then you have this stunning bold ink blended top of your card. You can add splatters if you want to, you can create like a snowy background if you want to, and then you have still the bottom white, and you still are a step closer towards creating a white, well, or a clean and simple card featuring your white panel as well. So the critters, I just wanted them to stand on top of the sentiment here, and then for the other one I'm going to later on add a bit of shadowing on the ground, a bit of grounding just by scribbling a bit of warm gray Copic markers. But then for the sentiment, as I didn't have any yellow yet, as on the other images, I decided to stamp the piece in yellow, which was a bit crazy in my opinion, because I was like, is this gonna turn out great or not? But first let's add our flurries. Again, a few, you can add as much as you want to. I didn't want to go overboard. I wanted some to hang off because that just looks like the panel or the scene is way bigger than what you can see on the card itself. And I'm using again that gravel ink, so really soft. You can also add this with some colorful inks, or you can, for example, clear heat emboss it, and then you will have that shine, but that's already really white, so just in case. But it's really beautiful as well. And then I started stamping the piece. And the thing that I really adore about this is, first of all, I never used yellow, I think, for stamping. It's the Buttercup from Concord and 9th. And you see that? You can like see the gravel through the yellow. And I must admit, first I was afraid of that it was going to come through and that it would be nice. I think it's genius. I think it's stunning. It's really subtle, but the see-through of the yellow is just right, in my opinion. So I'm really happy with this one. Actually, this one is my favorite of the two. So just adding now my thin foam squares to the critters. I'm going to adhere them, and then I will add some grounding. You can also add a grounding before. You can, if you don't want to add any shadowing or grounding with your Copics, you can use some post-it tape and just mask off the grounding, just do a slight bit of ink blending, maybe use that gravel or that light ink that you have at home again there, so that you have like the same color as the details on top. Or you can do as I did, just adding a bit of the scribbles of the gray. If you find it a bit too much, as I did, you can use your colorless blender to just push it a bit back. And that's actually how easy this was. I'm going to add these panels to card bases, and then actually my 2 cards are finished. You can definitely add embellishments if you want to, but I really want to convince you or push you to try out some clean and simple. So if I can leave out the embellishments, I try to do so. So these are my cards. I love how the gravel ink comes through that yellow. I am really curious to know what you think about these 2 cards and whether I convinced you to try something similar. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate you all. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!